Welcome, everyone. Those of you in the room, those of you online, I'm Stephen Collins. I'm the CEO of Matter. Welcome to the final showcase of our Momentum program. So we started Matter in 2015 with a mission to accelerate the pace of change of healthcare and a sort of basic conviction that the more we could do to support entrepreneurs, the better able we were going to be to advance our mission. Since then, we've worked with 850 companies. They've collectively raised about $5 billion to fuel their growth. They come from all over the world. They're every stage of development and every type of technology. We have also worked with 130 large organizations, health systems, insurance companies, life sciences companies, to help them innovate more effectively. And holistically, our belief is that the more we can work with startups, the more we can be the innovation partner for big enterprises, the more we can foster the kinds of collaborations across the industry that are really going to advance solutions that can accelerate the pace of change of healthcare. We started Momentum last year. It's a digital health accelerator built exclusively for Matter members. It offers a bit of a different structure of programming and experience than our sort of standard incubator offering. It's much more structured. There's a formal curriculum. It's a time-bound cohort with a beginning and a middle and an end, which isn't something that historically we've done with our members. So we launched that last year. We ran our first cohort last year. It was terrific and really excited to be wrapping up the second cohort today. We selected 10 startups from the pool of applicants. The curriculum had kind of two basic dimensions to it. One was a focus around leadership. Then the other dimension was a focus around really building the business. Two of our venture acceleration fellows worked very closely with the cohort. They each bring many decades of experience building companies and investing in companies. Pam York is one of them, successful entrepreneur and VC. She started a company, she started a venture fund, and really over the last decade she has developed an approach to leadership development and specifically focused on startup entrepreneurs. And then Jason Smith has been building companies for about 20 years. In addition, he did previously have his own fund, but we got to know him a number of years ago when he was building a company called Armark Bio, which really started, it was based at Matter. He ended up, we worked very closely with him. He ended up selling it to Within3, and he's now their chief technology officer. So in addition to Pam and Jason, we had a terrific group of executives who volunteered their time to help the cohort in myriad ways. There are too many to name, but for those of you who are here and are watching, thank you so much for everything that you brought to the program. Our MC for the rest of the program is my colleague, Elle Hauser, who leads the Momentum program. Each of the companies is going to present their solution, present what they're doing, and then Pam and Jason will come and close things out. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Elle. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, and everyone for joining us today. A quick run through today's program. So each startup will have 5 minutes to present their solution. With there being a number of pitches, we will have a 15-minute break at the midpoint, so it gives you time to stand up and stretch your legs. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started with today's first presentation. We have Vinay from Discreetly.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Vinay, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Discreetly. Discreetly is a digital platform to help scale and transform the engagement between pharma and practitioner to help improve patient outcomes. With Discreetly, we want to radically change how pharma engages with healthcare providers, and more specifically, who within the pharma industry leads the engagement with healthcare providers of the next generation. So over the past decade, pharma access to healthcare providers has been steadily decreasing by nearly 50%. And this is problematic because most healthcare providers learn about new medications either via drug reps or medical experts known as medical science liaisons. Studies have shown that this decreased access can also lead to a delay in prescribing the best medications for patients, which can be, and if you put that in perspective, with a cancer patient, for example, a 4-week delay in prescribing a new medication can lead to an increase in mortality by 13%. Interestingly, as the demand for clinical data on new medications continue to increase, especially post-pandemic, this has provided companies with an opportunity to leverage these medical experts, known as medical science liaisons, to educate healthcare providers. MSLs are scientific professionals within the medical affairs divisions of pharma companies, and their primary role is to provide education around company products and pipeline, build scientific relationships, engage in peer-to-peer dialogue, and gather scientific insights. However, less than 30% of healthcare providers currently engage with healthcare providers, and that's largely due to a lack of awareness of their role. Of this small subset of physicians that do engage with an MSL, over 90% of physicians have said that their engagement with MSLs have been very beneficial, but very underutilized by the industry. The problem that companies are facing, however, is with scaling these MSL services. Simply put, MSLs are very expensive. They cost on average around $250,000, which means that MSL teams tend to be smaller in comparison to the commercial counterparts. They're in short supply in today's market, and healthcare providers have a hard time reaching MSLs, either again due to a lack of awareness of this role or to the size of the MSL teams themselves. So with the healthcare provider focus in mind, Discreetly was created to address this unmet need. With Discreetly, physicians will have a one-stop shop platform to learn about new medications, receive relevant information, and have on-demand access to MSLs to have their questions answered and prescribe the right medication faster. With Discreetly, we really want to change the status quo of how pharma engages with healthcare providers and put the physician in the captain's chair for engagement. We have a ton of features that we've built into the platform, but 3 main features that we want to point out based on our customer research is the comprehensive database on newly approved medications, the on-demand access to MSLs to really facilitate those point-of-care decisions, and the dynamic dashboard to help evaluate physician data needs and also to evaluate the MSL team's operational efficiencies as well. Most importantly, with Discreetly, we can provide equitable access to the data and resources that are readily available within medical affairs divisions and empower all healthcare providers in their treatment decision process. When it comes to the market size for Discreetly, we base our analysis on a projected lifetime value of $1.25 million per pharma customer. Based on that, we project our TAM to be approximately $5 billion and our SAM to be approximately $800 million. The value that Discreetly provides is that for the cost of one MSL, we can improve an entire team's MSL efficiency by 3 to 4-fold. With regards to our customer pipeline, we have a robust personal network, and we're in active discussions with a number of different companies. Most importantly, we're in the final stages of our negotiating a contract with our first pilot with a company called Dompe. And we've also finalized an MOU with one of the world's largest drug launch and Marcoms company, whose customer base includes over 80% of the top pharma companies in the world. With regards to some key milestones for the company, we've achieved a number of different milestones for the company so far. But a key milestone to point out is that in Q4 of 2022, we secured a partnership with Doximity to utilize their SSO to be able to help streamline the onboarding of physicians into our platform. Some of our upcoming milestones that we're looking to achieve in this year is to conduct our first pilot and secure additional pilots. We want to begin phase 2 of the build for the platform as well, and then also begin some integration activities with EMR and CRM systems as well. And with that said, we're looking to raise $1 million in funding to really help us achieve these key milestones and also deliver on our projections also. With regards to the founding team, both Jibu and myself have a robust amount of industry experience and a ton of clinical and a ton of knowledge in the space. I've spent the last 8 years in the medical affairs space of the pharmaceutical industry, both as an MSL and also most recently leading global strategy and excellence for MSL teams. And Jibu's experience has been in the healthcare space with clinical informatics and precision medicine as well. And so with that, we have a chance to have a major impact on the current state of healthcare, but we need your help in achieving this. Every physician should be confident that they can provide the best possible care for their patients, and they can do so with Discreetly. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. Up next, we have Saeed from Gista.
Thank you. My name is Saeed Merabi. I'm the founder and CEO of Gista. We are automating the medical necessity review process for both payers and providers using large language models. So insurance companies have guidelines outlining the appropriateness of medication and services for patients. The problem is that providers either don't have access to those guidelines, or if they have to sift through these large PDF files to figure out if their patients meet those criteria. And also, payers have guidelines that they need to match against the documents that providers send over. These are, again, PDF files that are very large and hard to review. So this information asymmetry provides, one of the issues is that both the payers and providers have spend a lot of time reviewing these documents. So the solution we have is it's a AI that is trained on medical notes that can extract the criteria from coverage policies or guidelines and highlight these sentences in notes that match those criteria. So on the left side, you can see a snippet of clinical notes, and on the right side, you can see the section of a guideline. So we can extract those criteria and match the sentences on provider notes that match those criteria. And as you can see, for instance, in this case, this guideline is about the lumbar spine surgery, and the patient is eligible to receive that solution. This sort of expedite the review process for the payers, and also help the bringing that decision making on the provider side, so that before submitting their request, they know if their request is going to get accepted or rejected, and if it's rejected, what documents they're missing. So we have a standalone cloud-based solution that is accessible to both payers and providers. So we are working with third-party tools to integrate our solution with providers' workflow, but right now it's a standalone that works pretty well for payers. So I've done my PhD in health informatics, focusing on clinical NLP. Worked at Mayo Clinic that open sourced many NLP solutions like CTAKES, MedXN, many more, based on UEMA framework, and worked for the past decade for both payers and providers developing an NLP solution. I've also done my MBA at Chicago Booth, and fortunate to have a number of advisors that complement my skills and can join future rounds. So we're focusing right now on ambulatory surgery centers because they have the highest number of prior auth requests, and we also talk to many insurance companies and other key stakeholders involved in this ecosystem, and signed a pilot study with the ambulatory surgery center, and also working with a company called Case Control that are surgical scheduling software solution. We're hoping to embed our solution with their offering. And by the end of July, we hope that we can go live and start our fundraising. So we are asking for $500K, mainly to hire a software engineer to scale our backend, and so that we can get more customers, and also expand our coverage policies or guidelines and the clinical conditions we have, and reach our next revenue milestone, which is about $700K revenue in about 12 months or 16 months, hopefully.
Thank you, Saeed. So for our next presentation, unfortunately, Clara for our RX Longevity could not be here in person, but we do have a pre-recorded pitch for you all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Clara Fernandez. Hello, everyone. Founder of RX Longevity and founder of the biggest longevity clinic in Europe. A place where we help over 15,000 seniors to define their healthy aging plans in a program that is co-paid by the government. For the last 15 years, I've been working in longevity science, in government-defining policies for healthy aging, and senior marketing. And we're also publishing a book right now with Penguin Random House on how to age better. Today, we're going to talk about aging gracefully. So most of you probably know that life expectancy in Western countries is around 85. But maybe what you don't know is that we're expected to live only about 65 years with good health, which means that 20 years we're expected to live with a pain or a disease that could be prevented in most of the cases, posing a huge burden and pain to seniors and their families. And seniors are expected to grow over the next years, almost doubling from 55 million in 2023 to 95 million in 2050 in the US. But health is not the healthcare problem. Today, 80% of Medicare costs are spent on seniors with over 4 comorbidities. But there's still a huge misalignment of incentives between health plans and health providers on how to solve this plan. A lot of innovations have been growing over the last years trying to bridge this gap of incentives, but they have not yet resulted with good health results. For example, let's dig deeper into the chronic musculoskeletal pain. 33 million of seniors suffer pain, which is 60% of the senior population. Over 300 billion are spent annually in chronic musculoskeletal pain for seniors. It's the #1 cause of sedentarism, risk of falling, which leads to obesity, cognitive decline, and has a huge impact on all big 4 mortal diseases. Huge corporates and 10 billion startups have been innovating on this. CPT codes are ready. We have solutions for acute problems, but in terms of chronic musculoskeletal pain, results are very weak because of poor adherence. And this is where the solution comes in. IREX Longevity is a virtual health and wellness proposal offering a healthy aging plan for seniors with musculoskeletal pain. It's a mobile app that includes a plan designed for providers to prescribe and for seniors to understand. It includes continuous monitoring with AI vision tools to track the evolution of pain and the impact in healthy aging biomarkers. It includes daily life coaching with over 10 hours with healthcare experts, including physical therapy, exercise, nutrition, emotional health. And it's most importantly optimized for results. It's been designed in the longevity clinic and tested with thousands of seniors. It includes daily morning routines, patient expert groups, an evolution of goals, everything designed to optimize results. It's technology that includes state-of-the-art tech, designed and tested for seniors with AI vision tools, AI human coaching, top studio production, and supported by doctors. But most importantly, it's a health app that works because it's used. We have huge high engagement, over 300 minutes of exercise per user per week, consistent over a year cohort, with over 8-month retention bigger than 70%, with a net promoter score bigger than 60, with pain reduction in risk of falling, increase in arm and leg strength, reduction in doctor visits, and improvements in mental health, weight loss, and metabolic regulation. Where have we been and where we're going? So the app was launched in 2021, and it was fully working by 2022. It's been working for a year in the marketplace in Spain and LATAM, directly to the consumer and through Telefónica, which is the main network provider in Spain. By the beginning of this year, we opened our headquarters in the US. We've been working on regulation and compliance, and right now we're closing our first contract with a healthcare group in Florida with over 40,000 senior lives. We're planning our fundraising at the end of this year to grow distributions to healthcare groups, operations, increase the number of doctors and trainings, and all the continuous development of our technology with proof of exercise, AI tech, and language models. We are a team of experts in longevity and health tech. We have doctors on board. We have second-time founders, both from insurtech and health tech backgrounds, and me from the longevity clinic. And right now, as I mentioned, we're growing with our first contract in the US, and we're also looking for collaborations. So if you're interested in the longevity field or aging gracefully field, and you have partners that think that might be interested or want to know more about our company, please let us know. We can contact us here. Thank you very much.
Next, we will have Rich from Centir.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Rich Sokolowski, co-founder and CEO at Centir Analytics. Centir Analytics delivers analytic operations and applications specifically designed and delivered for life sciences companies. Advanced analytics have been driving significant value for pharmaceutical companies. It's improved their business performance across a whole host of functions. And so the need for new insights and more frequent insights is growing rapidly. Where it's in place today is that analytic delivery, insights delivery, is stuck in a development paradigm. Individual data scientists manually generate or run the models and generate the insights. And this means that the analytics can only be delivered 2 or 3 times a year. They're highly error prone. And if that data scientist leaves, the knowledge of that analytic leaves with them. So pharma needs to move analytics into an operations paradigm, an operational state. And that includes all the automation, QA, and documentation that goes with it. The problem is that no solution, end-to-end solution exists to implement analytic ops in pharma today. And so for some examples of that, the data, and you have to have in-depth knowledge of the data and the models to be able to create common use structures that are required for analytic operations. The tools that are available certainly give you a place to implement analytic operations, but they don't give you, for example, they won't write the advanced QA or the comprehensive QA necessary to ensure accuracy. And then lastly, you can't just put any data scientists into ops and have them run advanced models for pharmaceutical companies. This is not a push-button operation. You have to have the industry knowledge in the business context to make those analytic operations in pharma successful. So Centir brings all the industry experience, the model expertise, and the data source knowledge necessary to fill in those gaps. And we provide or deliver, let me back that up. So we set up and maintain all the data pipelines, the model operations, the governance, the quality assurance, and the technology to implement effective analytic operations in pharma. And the results of our services have been a 99% reduction in the time it takes to deliver insights. That seems outrageous, but think 3 months to 3 hours. And no errors reach the final deliveries. And so people can count on those analytics and they're trustworthy. So before I talk about our market position, I just want to talk about need for a second. So COVID hastened the need for advanced analytics. COVID hastened the need to have omni-channel engagement. And omni-channel engagement lives or dies by the constant insights required to guide customer activities. If for no other reason than omni-channel, pharma's going to have to solve the analytic operations puzzle because they're going to have to deliver these insights as rapidly as needed for omni-channel. So where does Centir fit? We sit in between the platforms required to run analytic operations and the services required to implement them. And we bridge that gap by bringing the best practice libraries necessary for effective analytic operations. These libraries can go anywhere from advanced data structures, analytic-ready data structures necessary to make the pipelines run efficiently, out to governance, which is all the processes and standards necessary to define roles and to make sure that when you're creating these analytics, you can easily pick them up with any resource that you put in place. So we're looking to grow and we're starting in a good place. We're on track in 2023 to hit $4 million in revenues. We have 5 clients. 2 of those clients are top 10 global pharma. Those 2 top 10 global pharma we've been working with for over 6 years. And we've deployed 3 analytic applications. Now, I haven't talked about analytic applications yet. I've talked about operations. But analytic operations are key to our growth strategy. Think of analytic operations as highly automated solutions for a specific analytic. And our applications are geared towards omni-channel. And they include promotional performance, customer engagement, and patient treatment. So to that end, what we're looking to do to accelerate our growth is to look for funding in early 2024. And with that funding, we would finalize the development of our applications. And I think very importantly, we'd put in place the sales and marketing resources necessary to hit our growth targets. So who are we? We're a very senior, multidisciplinary team. Cale and I come from 20 years business intelligence, analytics, data experience in pharma. Constantine is our chief data scientist. He is industry known, and the rest are experts in their field. I'll leave it at that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rich. Up next, we will have Jack from Thrive.
Excellent. Can you hear me okay? Great. How's everybody doing? One more time. How's everybody doing? Good. Great. Thank you. My name's Jack Dillon. I'm one of the founders of a product called Thrive. So what is Thrive? It's a clinical remote patient monitoring solution suite that allows for the collection of data regardless of their disease state. What we like to say internally, though, is Thrive is the science behind your healthcare change. So before we get into what Thrive does, I want to talk a little bit about why we did this, which is the economic impact. Thrive focuses on NCDs, or non-communicable diseases, things like cancer, diabetes, chronic pain, the list goes on. And there's a lot of statistics out there, and here's just one of them, $47 trillion over the next 2 decades in the management and the economic burden here. For chronic diseases and all of these NCDs, most of that cost, most of that burden comes through multiple patient encounters, readmissions, testing, the list goes on. And what Thrive aims to do, along with taking care of patients, as well as working and making the lives of the care team better, is to decrease the overall spend. So we all know the problems that exist in healthcare. They're in the media every single day, can't get away from it, right? Care teams are burdened, right? Burning out. Patients don't feel heard. Staffing costs are rising. Access is always difficult, right? And all of that translate into costs just going up, not down. With Thrive, we are going to decrease the number of office visits, but make them more meaningful for patients, right? The focus of Thrive is to look at that time between your doctor visit, your hospital admission, so patients feel seen and heard. There's a lot of tools out there for remote patient monitoring, right? You can pick up your smartphone right now and download just about anything. But what makes Thrive different is that it's adaptable to any condition, any disease state, and it can be customized to any practice, provider, or health system. It provides the care team and the physicians a customized dashboard to see the metrics that are important to them or important to their patients. It integrates with any wearable or any platform, and it's got sophisticated back-end data analytics and benchmarking. So looking under the hood of what Thrive does, you can see the graphic here. Thrive is adaptable in that it can, we like to say, if you can respond to a text, you can use Thrive, right? It can go from that to complex patient conditions, right? It can be simple and short-term, meaning it can be for post-operative recovery, or it can manage a patient who has cancer, diabetes, and just had surgery, all in one suite. The clinical pathways can be set up based on what we've built, based on best practices in medicine from some of the best institutions across the country, or it can be tailored to what one provider wants to do within their office. And the patient documentation can get as sophisticated as a patient would like. Like I said, a text reply for their pain score, all the way down to documenting what they're doing throughout the course of a day. Currently, here are our pathways: diabetes, postoperative care, pain management, cancer care, cardiac and chronic respiratory monitoring. All big ticket diagnoses that hit our health system worldwide. For all stakeholders, the payers win, right? They can access already existing CPT codes for remote patient monitoring, and they can decrease costs through fewer patient visits, as well as hospital admissions. Clinicians have less clicks, right? And they have less to document because the patients are helping them do that for them. And they can also decrease the number of visits by monitoring the patients remotely. And the patients win because they can communicate and journal their condition. They can gain personal insights into things like their sleep habits, diet habits, and other things, but most of all, they'll feel heard. This is the wonderful team that has built Thrive. We have a wonderful CMO with 20 plus years of healthcare experience, myself, who's worked in the healthcare industry and continues to do so, working directly with hospitals and practices, a CFO who's established a software company, and a CTO who's built numerous healthcare-related applications. So what Thrive is looking for, let me go back there. What Thrive is looking for is $3 million in seed funding, and with that, we'll increase our sales and marketing. We'll work further on our development. We hope to secure 6 clients and practices throughout the course of the next year, with one of them being a large major health system, and improve our operations. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jack. Now we will be going into our 15-minute break, so take a moment to stand up and stretch your legs. For those of you joining us virtually, we will be back at 3:48. Great, welcome back. So we will get started with our next company, Alex from Pathise Health.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Baram. I'm the CEO of Pathise Health, and we're building the co-pilot for chronic illness management. Today, millions of people are suffering in silence. While the rest of the world has seemingly moved on from the COVID-19 pandemic, those dealing with the aftermath, otherwise known as long COVID, are in the fight of their lives. Long COVID presents as an array of debilitating symptoms, from cognitive impairment to nerve pain and crippling fatigue, clinically known as post-exertional malaise. It's estimated that over 16 million people in the United States and 30 million people worldwide are dealing with long COVID right now, representing a $3.7 trillion economic impact, according to David Cutler, an economist at Harvard. Despite all this, long COVID is still increasingly difficult to track, treat, and predict for one simple reason. There's no established standard of care that's universalizable. Pathise Health aims to be that universalized standard of care for each and every one of our patients. By identifying short-term triggers for post-exertional malaise, we help patients build a foundation that they can then improve on. We help patients identify exactly what treatments will be likely to assist them, and also how they are responding to certain treatments. We correlate biometric information gathered from conventional wearables like Apple Watch, Fitbit, and Oura, and overlay that with manually inputted data from patients, such as symptom severity, medication adherence, and what's the last one here? All right, I guess we're banking on the last one. So fundamentally, all that we go through is we are able to bring all of this data into our model and provide tailored guidance to avoid overexertion and crashes in the short term, and assist patients in finding what treatments work for them in the long term. Now, our business model is pretty simple. We built a direct-to-consumer facing app that's launching later this year. We charge patients $10 a month for premium features. As we grow and collect more data and identify certain drivers that will give us the ability to reduce cost and time, we'll start working more closely with payers who see an average cost of $9,000 a patient per year dealing with long COVID. We anticipate our direct-to-consumer revenue streams to be online later this year, and our payer revenue streams online later next year. Now, the market size for long COVID is massive. I don't want to spend too much time on this. So the consumer market alone is over $2 billion, with a payer market of upwards of $10 billion. So long COVID will remain a clinically and economically relevant sector for years to come. So right now, we're in the process of building our MVP and have been working closely with online support groups and communities to build our user base. We'll continue to do so as we go through and launch our app on the App Store later this year, and then start working more closely with researchers and clinics to provide cutting-edge care to our patients, ultimately opening up payer and provider revenue channels. Now, while there is some competition, the long COVID market is definitely still in its infancy. We believe that with our combination of seamless onboarding through multiple wearable integrations and our upcoming predictive analytics suite, we'll be able to provide the most comprehensive and actionable long COVID data set on the market. Right now, we currently have 103 beta testers that are using our product, and engagement has been promising, with 42% of all users using our app daily and 63% of them using it weekly. With strong feedback, we're looking forward to continuing to build the right things for the patients that we're trying to serve with the commercial app. Now, I've had firsthand experience dealing with a chronic condition and know the patient care pathways in and out. In my professional life, I was employee number 6 at Summer Bio, a COVID testing startup in California. While I was there, I helped grow them to over 100 employees and the largest tester in the state. My co-founder and CTO, Mason Secchi-Coble, is a full-stack engineer that has multiple stints at venture-backed software companies, most recently Flexpa, a patient access API company that deals with healthcare data. Our head of strategy and operations, Jesse Crabtree, has extensive healthcare experience at Deloitte Consulting. So what's next for us? Put simply, we're going to continue building a product that will reduce time, cost, and disease burden for our patients. We're going to be launching our app later this year and start having discussions for clinical pilots, all in anticipation of raising our seed round in Q2 of next year. If you or anyone you know works with long COVID, either on a clinical or an administrative standpoint, please get in contact with us. Managing a chronic illness is no easy feat, and it's almost impossible to do alone. At PathEyes, we aim to be the co-pilot for our patients' chronic illness journey, guiding them to clearer skies ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Up next, we will have Philip from Akurey.
Good job on the pronunciation. So we do have a slightly difficult name to pronounce. Some say Akurey, some say Akurey, some say Akurey. The thinking behind the name is really a combination of 3 words: acoustic, core, and AI. So we're listening to the heart with AI. My name is Phil Peters. I'm the co-founder of Akurey. We are in the business of heart failure management. Heart failure is a later stage disease, typically occurring in older patients. It is a very costly disease, and the reason for that cost is that it's just a very difficult disease to manage. Initial diagnosis is both lengthy and costly. The acute in-hospital care of these patients is both inexact and time-consuming, and the ongoing treatment of these patients in the community care setting is typically disjointed. We know for a fact that the blood pressures inside the heart have a very direct relationship to heart failure, and these intracardiac pressures are by far the single most effective ways of managing these patients. The problem, as with many things in the device industry, is that existing tools are invasive, they are costly, and they are not scalable across a broader heart failure patient population. There is therefore this unmet need for a non-invasive intracardiac pressure monitoring device, and the perks of being a device company is that you can bring the physical device to show. The way it works is that you will typically place it on a patient's chest like so, and then within a few seconds you will have the results of the pressures presented to you. It is intended for use by healthcare professionals within a hospital setting initially, and then we're going to expand on to remote monitoring further down the line. We have a completely unique hardware approach to this, combining 4 different sensor technologies, what we call the SAVE sensor system. What it gives you is the entirety of the intracardiac pressures, so ranging from the right side of the heart to the left side of the heart, giving you a very holistic view of your patient's heart, understanding that condition better, and thereby being able to treat that patient much, much better. We have very strong clinical data to back up our claims of accuracy equivalence to the gold standard. The gold standard today is a right heart catheterization procedure or implantable sensors that get inserted into the pulmonary artery. We have enrolled over 400 patients now in 2 high-volume sites in Sweden, and we're able to demonstrate non-inferiority to implantable devices on the market today, and also superiority to standard of care when it comes to managing these patients, both in terms of accuracy, but also in terms of efficiency, repeatability, and overall accuracy levels. As I mentioned, the costs are very high associated with these patients, and there are substantial preventable losses that are available to hospitals in the US of over $6 billion per year. We estimate that we, as a company, can save US hospitals around $1 million per hospital per year. And what's really cool about the space that we're in and the workflows that we're targeting is that the vast majority of physicians and heart failure clinics are able to drive a buying decision for our device without needing to see reimbursement codes in place. So these hospitals are already losing money on these patients, and they need any tool they can have to make their care for these patients more efficient. I think all of these always look good for all startups, right? We are uniquely positioned in that right box, but what we have is really the world's first handheld device that's able to estimate these intracardiac pressures non-invasively. That allows us to not only be very scalable, but we also have the most accurate device that will be on the market for many years to come. Part of the reason for that is that we've developed all the hardware from scratch, and we trained all the machine learnings from scratch as well, based on a very large clinical data set. The pathway forward is what we like to call a pretty low-risk regulatory and clinical pathway. What that means is that we are essentially taking what we've already done in our Swedish studies and expanding that globally. So we know how to run these studies. We have some of the world's top sites globally signed up as partners, and we are looking to complete our clinical studies towards Q3 of next year, and then look to be on the market in the US and Europe by Q2 of 2025. We are a technical co-founding team. We are one of 2 Swedish companies here, and we are supported by a fantastic management team who have not only done this before from bringing medical device startups to exit, but also taking Class 2 and Class 3 devices within the cardiovascular space from a regulatory and clinical perspective. We are currently raising capital, as most startups here are. We have a term sheet on the table, so we are raising $7 million for the next 2 years, and we have a pre-money evaluation of 16 for that round. This $7 million will get us to regulatory approvals in Europe and in the US, and crucially then we'll be able to commercialize in both of these markets. If you are interested in either partnering with us or joining as an investor for this round, please get in touch with me here at philip.peters@Acrai. And with that, I'd just like to thank you and look forward to talking to you later.
Thank you, Philip. Up next, we will have James from Loop.
All right. You guys hear me okay? All right, I'm James, CEO and founder of Loop. So we have a loneliness problem in this country. If any of you saw the advisory the US Surgeon General put out in May, nearly 1 in 2 Americans now are severely lonely. That's essentially nearly half of you in this room. Loneliness is leading to a lot of health issues, and it leads to a lot of healthcare costs. At the core of loneliness is a social health crisis. Now, social health is something we all take for granted. It's the quality of our relationships in our day-to-day life. It's how we interact with our coworkers. It's how we interact with our friends. It's how we interact with our family, our partners, our neighbors, how we're all going to interact with each other at this event. And poor social health doesn't just contribute to loneliness, as we talked about just a second ago. It leads to increased rates of depression, to substance abuse, increased stress, saps your productivity, and it kind of keeps you from fulfilling your full potential. This is the problem of today's youth, of today's young generation, Gen Z, millennials, where we're focused. A generation that has been consumed by social media that has also robbed them of social experience. A pandemic that has forever changed how we interact with each other, and a society more polarized and divided. Ask yourself if you know somebody who struggles with confrontation, struggles asking for help when they need it, struggles maintaining friendships. And the need today is not getting met. It is a much larger need than our existing mental health care system can support. But also the need is more upstream than a lot of our services are today. And it has to be met with behavior change with how you interact with other people in your day-to-day life, not just behavior change with a care provider. So this is Loop. Kind of do 4 things with Loop. The first is identify for you individually what will improve your social function. 2 is train you in the skills and techniques you need to address that. 3 is get you to do those in your day-to-day life. Everything is based on social behavior change with what we're doing. And the 4th piece is to support you anytime you hit a roadblock or life event that disrupts your social health. As I mentioned, our product is designed for Gen Z and millennials. We're not diagnosing and treating social disorders. We're actually giving a gamified approach to get people to change their social behavior, to actually change how they interact with other people in their life. These are some of the things that Loop is designed to help with. And all these things, as people get better at them, they'll have better relationships in their day-to-day life. So in terms of our go-to-market, we're starting with employers, D2C, and universities. Payers are planned for mid to late next year in 2024, and then providers in 2025. There are a lot of ways that we can integrate with the healthcare system as we mature and go to market. An example on the provider side, we think a couple years down the line, is one of the biggest detractors to getting people to check in with their PCPs is social anxiety. So this looks at where we are with employers today. This is our main initial commercial channel. So HR teams are really struggling with how to improve communication, collaboration, and relationships at work. And what we're seeing in trend-wise is employers are spending less in health and wellness benefits, pulling back on that as they ballooned out of the pandemic, and they're spending more on learning and development. So to an employer, Loop is an L&D tool to build up those social skills. But to an employee, Loop is the health benefit that kind of finally speaks their language. From a pricing standpoint, we offer a baseline price of $10 a month, and that gives you access to the tools, the community, and the general support to enact those behavior changes. You can identify what is it you need to change. What are the techniques and skills that'll help you do it, and then put you on a plan to do so on a regular basis. And then anytime you have a life event or anytime you're hitting a roadblock, we have a premium plan at $99 a month that includes access to our coaches. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like for a user. Her name is Gabby. So Gabby joins Loop to help her anxiety in group settings, creating a habit of staying in touch with friends. She starts with our premium plan for that first month or two. In between, she stays on our baseline plan to keep those social behaviors and keep those social functions and habits maintained. And then Gabby ends a long-term relationship. She's anxious about getting back into the dating scene. She uses Loop to build up confidence to do so. Again, then she uses it to maintain those changes and those behavior changes. Gabby then starts a new job, uses Loop to help her navigate integrating herself into an existing team. And then at the end there, you see Gabby is stressed out, burned out, and uses Loop to maintain triggers, to manage triggers she gets from day-to-day interactions. So this is an example how we see Loop as a lifelong partner to aid someone's social health. So this is our current team. Don't have time to list through everybody, but a world-class team across clinical, engineering, design, marketing. This quote I always love to share with people. The thing to remember is that of all different kinds of emotional pain that you can go through, loneliness is the one kind you can't solve by yourself. We need other people, and other people need us. All of us that experience loneliness do have people in our day-to-day life. We just need to learn how to interact with them better and more successfully. So we've opened up a safe at $1.25 million, has a 20% discount at $6 million cap. We've closed $750K. There's 500 left remaining. Happy to talk to anybody who's interested. Thank you.
Elsa Science.
Hello, I'm also representing the Swedish Mafia here today. Maybe some of you in the audience as well, because I know heritage from Scandinavia might be common in this area. So, hello, fellows. Well, I'm Sophia. I'm from Elsa Science, and I'm the CEO and co-founder, and we're here to setting a new standard in rheumatology with help from patient data that matters. So there are about 55 million patients with chronic rheumatic conditions in the United States, and they spend a couple of hours per year in healthcare, and about 9,000 hours per year on self-care. Diagnosis and treatment decisions are, decided for these complex and heterogeneous conditions on only a few hours, often without using any validated assessment tools because there is no time for that. This leads to an inefficient healthcare with insufficient outcomes at a very high cost, $128 billion per year in the United States. At the same time, patients' real-life experience keeps being the largest unused resource in healthcare. We can't afford that any longer. We have to recognize that patients are experts on their conditions. They know what it's like to live with the disease every moment, every day for the rest of their lives. They are a goldmine of information. At Elsa Science, we offer a platform that engages the patients and turn their data into decision support, personalized interventions, and revenue streams. Why is that important? Well, today's care relies on a decreasing number of rheumatologists and no specific technical innovation. This is what it looks like. It takes time to get a diagnosis such as rheumatoid arthritis, for example. If you're lucky, you get your 3 months checkup. If you're lucky, you get your 3 months checkup. If you're feeling fine that day, there's no change in your treatment. If you're lucky, you get your 6 months checkup. And if you're feeling fine that day, really no change in treatment. Eventually, you might need an unscheduled visit, maybe going to hospital, maybe it's an acute situation, and eventually you get a treatment change because obviously you're not feeling great. And disease activity, high disease activity, same thing as high costs in the healthcare system. So what we're doing at Elsa Science, we offer patient data-driven decision-making, indicating cost savings of up to $20 billion per year. First of all, we have a tool, a self-screening tool, to set the correct diagnosis in rheumatology a lot faster. We have a self-care tool for patients to understand their disease, to monitor the disease, to understand what's going on with them, their symptoms, their drugs, and that data is shared with the provider in a clinical dashboard for remote care and quicker intervention and get people into remission a lot quicker than we do today, lowering the costs in the system. Why is this important? Well, our approach is not just theoretical, it's also proven. So within acquisition and diagnostics, we have 55,000 users that's been part in a multi-site study in Europe, where we see that this tool can distinguish between different rheumatic conditions and it shortens time to diagnosis. Within patient engagement and adherence, we have our self-care tool, and about 4,000 users active today. 50% of our active users, they log symptoms and drugs several times per week. They create a rich, granular data set, this golden information that so many different stakeholders in healthcare need and can utilize. A randomized controlled trial with Karolinska Institutet in Sweden shows that we increase self-efficacy in these patients and we lower disease activity such as pain and fatigue. And then within remote monitoring and health analytics, we have one health system and one group provider contracted here in the United States, and the rheumatologists, they tell us that yes, we can act proactively and we can intervene before flare-ups and severe conditions arise. If you collect this kind of data, you have lots of different ways of monetize and have different types of business models. We've started with the providers here in the United States working with remote care, and at the same time we prepare them for value-based care and payment models with the payers because we give them the tools to be able to strike those deals. And eventually, we'd love to work with the payers as well in value-based care models. This is our team. Some of my co-founders, Lars and Lars, they are professors from Karolinska. They have the largest studies in the world in rheumatology. We have a professor from University of Leiden in the Netherlands. It's ranked #1 in the world in rheumatology. We have Dr. Alvin Wells here in the United States. He's a trailblazer in rheumatology in the United States. And we have an amazing design team. Some of them have worked for a Swedish company called Spotify. You might have heard of that. There is an opportunity providers and payers, we'd love to partner with you. But if you're an investor, we're also currently looking for money. So we have secured $3.5 million in a bridge round of $5 million, looking for $1.5 million right now. We're going to use that to scale with providers. Towards the beginning of next year, we would like to raise $15 million in an A round to scale with the payers and eventually become a global leader in immunology care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophia. Up next, we will have Jerry with PronaQ.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jerry, CEO and co-founder of PronaQ. At PronaQ, we are transforming the way you monitor your sleep. So there are about 54 million Americans suffer from sleep apnea. And among this population, 80% were never diagnosed. And with sleep apnea, you actually have a higher chance of developing other cardiovascular diseases and chronic diseases, even depression as well. And combine that, it costs us $150 billion every year. So with such a detrimental kind of impact on health and economy, why such an underdiagnosed? Well, the traditional patient journey is just inefficient and costly. If you want to get your sleep apnea tested, you actually probably need 4 physical clinic visits, 6 months of wait time, and $3,000 on your medical bill. That's just too much for most people. So a lot of people drop out in the process. And what we want is we transform this patient journey with our AI solutions. That's simple enough that you don't even need to go to the clinic. You can easily do that online. With 0 months of wait time, obviously, once you receive a device, you'll be able to test it and then submit a result. And in 10 minutes, you'll get a report. And less than $200 spent on your medical bill. Then definitely we can solve this penetration problem of the sleep apnea diagnosis with this little device on my finger. So not just, even if you want to go through this very painful process of your sleep apnea diagnosis, by no means you don't want to sleep like this in the hospital with more than 20 patches, sensors, tubes attached to your body. And then when they still tell you, sleep as normal. How? So what you want to do is like this. Our solution enables you to do the home sleep test comfortably in your bed. And that's also where your sleep is usually tested. And there are actually some other home sleep devices available in the market, but they still require you to put on all these tubes around your face or straps everywhere. And the operation failure is actually very high. So it's really not very suitable for frequent use of the device. And our tip track simply measures the sleep from your fingertip. And it has a lot of ergonomic designs that actually we know work. That is very appropriate for long-term monitoring so that you can get some insights by looking at your multi-night results. The reason why we managed to put all these together in this small device is that we have our proprietary signal processing and AI algorithms that will be able to decompose the typical PPG signal, which measure your hemodynamics from your finger, into physiological signals like pulse rate, respiration, blood pressure. And combined with the AI algorithm, actually we can detect sleep apnea directly from your finger. Also, together with some other comorbidities, such as hypertension, AFib, COPD, that are all related to the sleep apnea. And our algorithm has been tested by more than 35,000 hours of sleep. And we managed to achieve a 95% accuracy in terms of detecting the sleep apnea, and also 85% detecting the sleep stages as compared to the gold standards. We identified there is an immediate $2 billion market opportunity in front of us. There are from 2 parts, one from the diagnosis, the other from the monitoring. From the diagnosis side, there are actually 5 million sleep tests conducted every year, even though it's not very comfortable, still 5 million. There is also a 10 million existing sleep apnea patients with 2 new sleep apnea patients every year. They are under some treatment without any kind of a monitoring. So 50% of these patients actually drop out of the process within a year because of lack of monitoring. So this diagnosis and monitoring actually combine a $2 billion market in front of us. And how do we capture that in our business model is that we enable our physicians and business partners to provide a patient-centric care, to let the patient see the values of the diagnosis and also the monitoring of the sleep apnea. So physicians, we target sleep physicians and also cardiologists. We enable them to allocate their resources more efficiently, and also we help them effectively follow up their patients. And also they can provide longitudinal insights to their patients. For our business partners, including sleep apnea treatment solutions, remote patient monitoring, we create bundle sales and post-treatment monitoring together with them to enable them to streamline the customer acquisition, enhance the treatment adherence, and also help them provide customized treatment plan to their patients. That's how we actually create our business model. Our company is led by a very diverse and solid background team. We cover finance, engineering, medical, business side, everything. My co-founder, Professor Wu, he's currently a tenured professor at Duke University. He was a medical doctor by training, later on decided to pursue a mathematical PhD. So he has been using mathematical models to analyze very complicated physiological signals for more than 20 years. And he himself is a severe sleep apnea patient. As for myself, a moderate sleep apnea patient, a very heavy snorer, I'm also very eager to solve this problem for myself. I was an engineer by training, but most of my career spent in management consulting, investment banking, and venture capital. Prior to founding PronIQ, I was deeply involved in 2 other startups as a co-founder in deep tech. So we plan to kick off our next round of fundraising towards the year end. We are very fortunate to be backed by very solid Series C investors, including Naver, the largest Korean internet company, as a strategic investor. And we target to raise $10 million for our Series A. That will help us get through the 510(k) certification and also help us launch the pilot mass production and also product launch in the States. Thank you very much. We are PronIQ. We think everybody deserves a better sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you again to the entire Momentum cohort for coming here and taking time out of your busy schedules to present in person. For the audience, if you are interested in connecting with any of the startups, you can always reach out to us at momentum@matter.health, and we will help facilitate those introductions. But before we end today's program, our lead mentors just have a few closing remarks. So Pam and Jason, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Elle. First of all, just want to say thank you to all of you, those of you who are in person, those of you who are online. Thank you so much for being here. I don't know about you, but after watching these 10 amazing founders, I'm just really present to my desire to make a difference in the world, and which is, you know, kind of what we all want in our lives, right? And what I love about this program is that we, Jason and I, get to really amplify our impact by working with these incredible people who are really doing important things in the world. So I just wanted to say thank you to Matter and the whole team for creating this amazing program. It's so impactful, and I wanted to say thank you to the founders for allowing us to really be part of your lives.
Great. Yeah, thank you. I'll echo that. It's a journey, and we are honored to be part of that journey with you. So thank you for allowing us there and tolerating us at times, for sure. And thank you to Matter. I do want to say, we want to say thank you to Elle in particular. She's kept us on track. All these amazing content, presentations, all that is not Pam and I, while we get to present it. Thank you, Elle, for all your help this year. And I think I'm supposed to go slides forward. So we are opening our Momentum 3. So this is going to be a 3rd cohort. We're actually focusing on a different type of group. So kind of the more mature digital health companies, Pam and I are going to be working with this group. So if you're post Series A, you're looking to that next set of scale where you're running those challenges, how you think about your next round of investors, how you think about your next round of customer acquisition. We'd love to work with you in the fall timeframe, and I look forward to everyone applying. Otherwise, again, thank you.
And that's the end of today's program. We do have happy hour and networking after this, so we can all make our way out there. Thank you.